Hi friends, if you've been feeling stuck, confused, or afraid to start, this message is especially for you. You tell yourself that you are gathering knowledge, resources, or preparation. You convince yourself that when the perfect moment arrives, you will act with precision and certainty. But the perfect moment is a mirage. It does not exist outside of action. If you continue waiting, you will reach a point where your circumstances have changed, where responsibilities have multiplied, where energy and passion have waned, and suddenly starting becomes far more difficult than it would have been if you began earlier. Every person who achieves greatness shares a common story. They started before conditions were perfect, before fear had dissipated, before confidence was fully formed. They started despite uncertainty, despite the risk of failure, and despite the lack of external validation. They understood that time rewards action and punishes hesitation, and they made a conscious choice to move forward while others stood still. And here is the most important truth you need to hear. Starting late is not just about missed opportunities. It is about lost identity. Every day you delay is a day where the version of yourself capable of courage, creativity, and achievement is slowly buried under routines, comfort, and conformity. You risk forgetting the person you were meant to become. You risk trading potential for excuses, dreams for safety, and life for mere existence. The urgency is not external, it is internal. It is the quiet voice inside you that knows your life is waiting, that knows your ideas, your talent, and your purpose are too valuable to waste. And the longer you wait, the louder regret will speak, not just as a fleeting thought, but as a weight that shapes your decisions, your confidence, and your belief in possibility. Time is not your enemy, yet it becomes one when you fail to act. Every sunrise you ignore, every day you postpone, is another layer of distance between you and the life you are capable of creating. And the most heartbreaking truth is this: there will never be a day where all conditions are perfect. The world will never adjust to your comfort. The resources you desire may never fully materialize. Fear will always exist in some form. And yet, the only thing that guarantees you a life of fulfillment, achievement, and self-respect is the courage to start now, imperfectly, without certainty, but with intention. The decision to start before it feels convenient, before it feels safe, and before it feels comfortable is what transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. It is what separates those who eventually say, "I lived fully," from those who murmur, "I wish I had started sooner." The choice to act is not merely a decision. It is a declaration to the universe, to yourself, and to time itself that your life matters, that your potential is not negotiable, and that you will not allow hesitation to define your story. Time is moving whether you acknowledge it or not. Every second that passes is a second you cannot recover. And the truth is simple. If you do not start now, there may never be a moment later that is better than the one you are ignoring today. The window of opportunity is always open only in the present, and waiting is a luxury that often becomes a prison. Recognize it, feel it, and let it propel you into action. Do not let the fear of imperfection or the illusion of preparation stop you. Begin before you are late. Begin while time still favors the brave. Begin before regret whispers your failures in quiet hours when no one is watching. And understand that the act of starting itself is the beginning of liberation, from fear, from excuses, and from the silent, corrosive pull of delayed life. The awakening to courage to begin. There is a moment in every life when the weight of waiting becomes unbearable, when the silence of inaction becomes louder than any fear, and when you finally realize that the only way to honor yourself is to act. This awakening is not loud, and it is not accompanied by fireworks or clear signs from the world. It comes quietly, as a sudden clarity in your thoughts, a piercing awareness in the depths of your mind that says, "Enough. I cannot afford to wait any longer." In that instant, all the excuses you have built around comfort, fear, and hesitation crumble like fragile walls against the force of truth. You recognize that the perfect time is an illusion, that confidence is born from action and not preparation, and that the life you dream of cannot begin tomorrow, it must begin now. Courage is not something you are given. It is something you create in moments like this. It is a choice, a conscious decision to move forward even when the future is uncertain, even when failure is a real possibility, and even when the world has not validated your readiness. True courage is not the absence of fear. It is the understanding that fear exists and choosing action anyway. It is stepping into the unknown, knowing full well that comfort, certainty, and safety have been illusions all along. When you awaken to this truth, hesitation no longer feels comfortable. It feels heavy, unnecessary, and intolerable. You start to see that every day you delayed was a day lost not to circumstances, but to your own unwillingness to begin. Every fear that once seemed insurmountable now appears smaller because you have finally measured it against the strength of your desire to live fully. In that moment of awakening, clarity replaces confusion, purpose replaces indecision, and determination replaces doubt. You understand that starting is not a gamble. It is a reclaiming of what is inherently yours: your time, your potential, and your life. And when you choose to act, you are not just beginning a project, a business, or a goal. You are declaring to yourself and to the world that you will no longer be a passive observer in your own story. Every small step you take in that moment compounds into momentum that builds confidence, skill, and vision faster than you ever imagined possible. Action generates clarity, and clarity generates courage, creating a feedback loop that transforms fear into energy and hesitation into forward motion. The awakening is also deeply personal. It is the first time you recognize that life will not wait for you, that time is finite, and that the responsibility to create meaning in your existence rests entirely on your shoulders. Others may cheer, discourage, or remain indifferent, but the choice is yours alone. That realization is liberating because it removes dependency, removes excuses, and removes the comfort of waiting for external validation. You no longer need permission from circumstances, other people, or the world itself. Your own awareness and commitment are enough to ignite change. And as you begin, you notice something remarkable. The fear that once paralyzed you no longer has the same control. It is still there, of course. It may linger, whispering doubt, but it is no longer a master. You are now the conductor of your own life, shaping your destiny with deliberate action. Each small victory, each step forward, reinforces your power, creating confidence that did not exist when you were waiting. The awakening also brings with it a profound sense of responsibility. You realize that if you delay again, you are choosing to betray yourself and your potential. You see that life rewards decisiveness, courage, and persistence, not passive hope or wishful thinking. The urgency you felt earlier transforms into purpose. Every hour you dedicate to action feels like reclaiming a treasure that was nearly lost to hesitation. You understand that success is not about luck, resources, or perfect conditions. It is about showing up consistently, taking the first step, and trusting that each subsequent step will become clear as you progress. And in that trust lies freedom, the freedom to make mistakes, the freedom to learn, and the freedom to grow into the person you are capable of becoming. This awakening is transformative because it changes the way you perceive time, fear, and effort. Hours that once seemed insignificant now carry weight. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming now appear as necessary tests of your courage. You begin to understand that growth is forged in discomfort, and that every moment of deliberate action, no matter how small, accumulates into a life that is lived intentionally rather than drifted through passively. And as you act, you begin to see the world differently. Doors that once seemed closed begin to open because action itself creates opportunities. People respond to movement, circumstances shift in response to initiative, and your own perception of what is possible expands. You are no longer waiting for life to hand you permission or clarity. You create it yourself. Courage, once dormant, becomes a constant companion. Fear is still present, but it is now the fuel for vigilance, focus, and creativity rather than a cage. Your mindset begins to shift from scarcity to possibility, from what could go wrong to what could be achieved. This awakening is not instantaneous perfection. It is the beginning of a journey, one that requires persistence, patience, and continuous effort. Yet, unlike waiting, every moment of this journey builds, strengthens, and shapes you. You begin to understand that the act of starting is itself the most powerful form of respect you can give to yourself, and that it is never too late to reclaim your life as long as you have breath and determination. Thank you for watching till the end. I hope this message inspired you to take one step closer to your goals. Keep pushing forward, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye and stay motivated.